You might have seen the notification. We will be broadcasting on YouTube also. So our other students will connect us via YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
Vinita ma'am, can you come online? I mean, can you on your camera?
My camera is turned on.
No, Vinita madam, my colleague.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So I can introduce you to her.
Sure.
Okay.
We just finished our meeting at 4 and everyone must be having his or her lunch.
Okay.
And what about you? I don't know about your breakfast and everything.
Yeah, it's a little early for the breakfast, but
Yes.
after the call, we'll probably have breakfast.
I hope you get the time.
Yeah. Is that Rubina online?
Yeah, Rubina is also on that.
Okay, I just saw the name.
Yeah. I wanted to still inform Bhatte sir also, but I was busy throughout the day.
Acha.
But still I can send a message. Hello, ma'am. Shobna, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible. Your mic is off. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Ma'am, please unmute your mic.
Hello?
Yeah, ma'am. You are audible.
Yeah. There was a problem with I couldn't unmute. That's the reason. Yeah.
Should we start, ma'am?
Yeah, we can. I am ready.
Very good afternoon, one and all. Today, we are here to listen and learn about data science, business analytics, career opportunities for business professionals. Before I introduce our guest speakers, I would request and invite our principal, Dr. Shobna Vasudevan, ma'am, to say a few words. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Asif. It's indeed a pleasure to be there in this evening with all of you. And I congratulate you for this great initiative that you have taken and spearheaded it along with your colleagues. It's a very important event for us at Podar College. And while I welcome our foreign dignitaries to this virtual platform, let me introduce that we are going to be an 82-year-old institution believing in great educational opportunities, providing them the various opportunities to move forward and get them enriched with whatever the available information, knowledge that is surrounding them. Through our faculty and through our contacts of our faculty, we need to give our best to our learners. This initiative is one of that kind, and it's going to be the learners who have opted for data science as one of their elective subject, and at the undergraduate level as well as postgraduate level. We at Podar is a talent pool, if I have to say so. The learners are very much interested, initiated, and always look forward to go and get things better for themselves and for their environment around. As I told at the beginning, it is my pleasure to welcome you, and I'm also eagerly awaiting to hear what exactly is going to be the world that speaks about data science. We, as India and Indian community and society, are getting fast integrated with the world economy, which is evident and obvious. And in that context, I think this particular webinar is going to enable us to hold hand with you so that you can guide us and you can also give some kind of an enlightenment about this sector and also the way forward as an educational institution, a way forward as developing human resources, and way forward to get quickly integrated in this growing sector across the globe. Thank you very much, Asif. Hearty congratulations to you once again. And let us welcome our guests of honor for this evening on the virtual platform. My dear learners and students of Podar College who have assembled to hear and learn a lot, you are going to be in for something that is very, very critical, which is going to be making a path-breaking decision for you to move forward. I wish you all the takeaway is for you, and it is for the benefit of not only you. When you learn and when you execute, it's going to be the whole surrounding that is going to be getting the benefit out of this. So we have to thank the dignitaries once again, and let us leave the mic to Asif Sheikh to continue and take the thing forward. Thank you very much, Asif.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me now introduce the guest speakers. Pursuing your passions makes you more interesting, and interesting people are enchanting. Friends, we have two passionate and interesting data scientists with us today online from United States. It is a morning 6 a.m. at their end, and they are here for us. So we must appreciate their efforts. Today's talk will have two parts. I'll speak about the latter half first. The latter half of today's talk will be delivered by Sanjay Pethe. He has his BTech in chemical engineering from IIT Madras and MS from Louisiana State University. He has a mid-career MBA from Rice University. Initial 15 years of his career he spent doing processes engineering, meaning process design, simulation, controls, optimizations. From last decade and more, he moved into finance and supply chain management. He is a leading supply chain technology. He is leading supply chain technology at ConocoPhillips. The initial part of today's talk will be delivered by Anupama Nimak. She did her BSc Physics from Ferguson College, Pune, and her MSc Physics from Savitribai Phule Pune University. After marrying to Sanjay Pethe, she moved to the United States. She completed her MS in Computer Science from University of Houston. She worked with NASA. Currently at Invesco, she is the head of the Incubation Lab for Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning. She has 20 years of global work experience, leading global teams, and proven record for large project delivery with exceptional customer services. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sanjay Pethe sir and Anupama Nimak ma'am. Anupama ma'am, I'm pleased to present you all Anupama ma'am. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Asif, and thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. Thank you all, really, for the opportunity to speak with you today. I want to start out by first congratulating each one of you for making one of the best decisions you probably have made in your professional career. You have selected to study machine learning and data science. And I can assure you that if you put all your effort into it next few years, you're going to have numerous opportunities in India and all over the world. Well, why do I say that? Are there really that many opportunities for a data science professional? Next slide, please. Thank you. So data science has been impacting all our lives. Do you recognize some of these icons? I believe all of us have used several of these tools. I can't imagine my life without Google search. If you have used Google search or Google Maps or Google Docs or any of these tools, you have used machine learning and data science in your daily lives. It has become so integral to our lives that we don't even notice it anymore. I'm sure many of you use Netflix and get recommendations. The point I'm trying to make over here is that all of us use machine learning and data science in our daily lives. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what about the corporate world? Data is guiding and transforming industries across the globe. Just
Anupama,
like,
excuse me.
yeah.
Sanjay sir, your screen, you're not sharing your screen.
What?
Yeah, your screens are not, we cannot see your screen. They are not visible.
Okay, 1 minute.
You are host, so you can share your screen.
Oh, sorry. It was just that. Can you see it now?
Yes. Anupama, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead. So Sanjay, it would be great if you can please share the first slide. And I'm not able to see your screen, see the slides, but that's okay. If you can show the first slide and
There we go.
okay, thank you. What I was talking about. You know, you've seen all these Google icons, and you've used any of these, a lot of these tools, as I was saying. And if you have, that means you've been using machine learning and data science in your daily lives. So next slide, please, Sanjay. Thank you. So what about the corporate world? Data is guiding us and transforming industries. Just like data science has become integral part of our daily lives, it's obvious that companies that provide a service have also been impacted. I think if you think about data and how it's impacting companies, it's not only impacting a particular industry, but it's across the board. It's impacting sectors, industries, and entire corporate world. I want to give you a couple of examples of that. So if I just talk about my industry in finance, it's not enough to look at an income statement for a company anymore. Social media may have huge impact on companies' stock. And let me give you a couple of examples of that. So if you have heard of Elon Musk and how he tweets about Tesla or Twitter, you know that there are immediate fluctuations in Tesla's stock price when he tweets. You may have heard about Kylie Kardashian tweeting about Snapchat and that reducing Snapchat's stock price by over $1 billion. So the data is impacting companies. Another example I can take over here is from healthcare industry. So in healthcare industry, you can use thousands and thousands of X-ray images and build a machine learning model to decide whether a person has disease or not. Another example is entertainment industry. If you're watching YouTube videos, you know that based on what you watch, you're going to get more videos like that in your feed. Also, the data impact is related to non-numeric data. Non-numeric data is available for corporations to use. When you call a company these days, you may not be talking to a real person. You may be talking to a chatbot. Or a portfolio manager thinking about how to change his investments. He's not sitting around and reading a Wall Street Journal anymore. The Wall Street Journal text gets processed by a computer and a machine learning algorithm spits out the summarized article for him. And also, similarly, predictions for competitive advantages are becoming now available for companies. What used to happen was earlier, companies used to do only descriptive data analytics. And I'm sure you know what descriptive data analytics is, which is basically you are looking at the data to figure out what happened in the past. But now, companies may be able to peek into the future using power of predictions at scale with help of machine learning, and that can give them a lot of competitive advantage. Next slide, please. Thank you. So there are just several examples of data science, which tells us that data science has kind of become invaluable and of tremendous importance to us in our lives. But then how does it connect to you, and how does it connect to your professional life and your career? So let's go back to data. These days they say data is gold, and everything starts with data. So what started happening is large data sets are now becoming available for processing. We all know that people are kind of moving from paper to electronic copies and creating just millions and millions of image data. If I think about my own work, right now we are working on a project where we are processing and uploading 500 million news articles. We are going to process those articles and create a sentiment score of every article based on machine learning models. So the point is, there are very large data sets available. But what has also happened is there has been tremendous innovation around cloud storage and semiconductor chips. So it's not enough to have large amount of data. You need to be able to store it effectively, efficiently, in a cost-efficient manner, and you need to be able to process it very, very quickly. If you have 500 million articles, and if it's going to take a month to process, it's no use. So the innovation in chip industry, semiconductor chip industry, and computing on cloud has really moved the needle forward. Companies now are making decisions based on data, and future predictions are possible because of machine learning. And that is where you come in the picture. We have large data sets available. We have processing power and innovation available for companies to process that large amount of data. We then know that all those data sets, or the companies know that those data sets can have really great insights to help their businesses, but then they need the talent that is able to create the machine learning models, use data science, and help them in creating those insights. So let me hand it over to Sanjay to talk more in detail about this whole process and what you need to do to prepare yourself and take advantages of these amazing opportunities that you have in front of you. So over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Anupama. So let me go back over this slide to talk about some of these things in more detail. So let's start first with the data sets. So as Anupama mentioned, there are large volumes of data that are now becoming easily accessible and available for analytics. And this has been an ongoing trend for a long time as people have moved from paper to electronic records. The creation of the internet and the cloud storage has made all this data transportable, so you can easily access it where you want it. It's not sitting in isolated silos. And here are some examples of data that is now relatively readily available for analysis. So things like financial transactions, as we have moved from using cash to using credit or debit cards or mobile phones for payments, all of that information is being recorded somewhere, and it is available either to be purchased or downloaded for you to analyze. Stock prices on stock exchanges are publicly available through tools such as Google Finance or Yahoo Finance or others. They're also available for purchase from retailers that collect this information. Property records are increasingly moving online. In India, you have the Ready Reckoners. All the property transactions are now recorded electronically. You can access those through systems like Ready Reckoner or others. In the United States, you have the MLS, or the master listing system, for pretty much all property transactions. And again, that is data that can be used for various types of analysis. You have pricing information readily available at online retail stores, which can be collected. Stores and businesses are using point of scale scanners to capture the information about sales and inventory and so on. There are financial reports that are now filed electronically. And this list just goes on and on and on, personal data, social media interactions, etc. Businesses have always used this type of data to make decisions. So for example, some types of business decisions that need to be made are, what should the price of my product be? And if you have purchased airline tickets or even made hotel reservations, you have probably seen this at play, where the travel industry in particular uses what is called dynamic pricing. So there have been instances where my family has had to travel, but we were on different schedules. So I purchased tickets for two of us first because we were coming back on different days. And then when I went to purchase the tickets for the remaining two, the price had changed. And the price changed because I purchased those two seats just a few minutes ago. So the airline industry was an innovator in this field, where they started looking at how much product or the seats they have left are, and what is the demand that they're seeing or predicting based on past trends, and then adjusting the price accordingly by the minute. So a lot of machine learning and data is powering those decisions that are being made by the minute. Things such as, where should I locate my store, or where should I buy some property, will be is determined based on price trends, population growth, things of that sort. And again, you can use a lot of these data sets to make better decisions related to that. How much product should I order to be sold next year? Again, that's based on trend analysis, based on factors such as the population, for seasonality, and so on. But you can automate all of these decisions that were very manual and took a lot of people to make earlier. So let's take a look at some specific examples of where this kind of analysis is being helped by machine learning and data science. The first example I have is for stock portfolio analysis. Many of you are probably aware that there are mutual fund companies, investment companies that purchase shares of stocks of different companies. They purchase ownership shares in different companies represented by these stocks, and they package them up into what are called mutual funds to allow you to own a number of different companies so that you're not restricted by to just owning a few companies. They also make different packages of these. So you have different kinds of mutual funds, some that are called growth oriented, some that are more for dividend payments and just earnings, some that are designed to just preserve your value and are not really looking for growth, which might be a risky proposition. And they package all these stocks from different companies in these different types of mutual funds and market it to different types of people. So for somebody who is young like you probably will be going for some of the more growth oriented funds because you have a lot of earning power still left in your life. For somebody who is in later stages of life looking towards retirement, they're probably more interested in things like preserving capital and not because they would have already built up a pretty good base of the capital, and now they want to make sure that they don't lose it because they're going to be living off it. So because of these different requirements, you have to have different stock holdings which require an analysis of each of the companies you're buying, but it also requires you to keep analyzing those companies continuously to determine whether they're doing well, whether they're still suitable for that stock mix that you originally selected them for. And one source of information for this type of analysis is the company's earnings calls, where the company every quarter will describe how they did in the past quarter, how much this earned, what are the profits they made, and so on. But they also go into more detail about what the outlook for the business is, what are the threats, what are the external factors, are there weather-related events, are there political events, are there other kinds of things that affect the outlook that they have. And in the old way of doing things, analysts would spend approximately about 150 hours per analyst per year reading these kinds of earning calls transcripts. They would spend additional time to summarize these transcripts, and you needed analysts to cover all the different sectors because they understood that business better. And of course, it was done one transcript at a time. However, all of this information is now available online. In the United States, companies are required to file these earnings calls with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Excuse me. And all of that is available in the Edgar database online. Similarly, in India, they have to file it with the SEBI. And again, these kinds of things are available online. They can be purchased or downloaded. You can upload all of this into a database. And in a recent example, there were about 400,000 of these transcripts that were uploaded to a database, processed using a machine learning model using natural language processing to come up with a positive or negative sentiment and rank all these companies based on the criteria. And the whole process end to end took about 3 hours. So this is a far cry from about the 150 hours per analyst per year that companies were spending. In real estate investments, the typical scenario is where a developer or a real estate investment company, or as they're called in the United States, want to purchase properties either for development or just to hold as rental properties. And they have traditionally used things like population growth, price trends in a particular region, the economic trends in that region as guides for making those kinds of decisions. However, some of the more sophisticated firms are using a lot more data and using machine learning to process this data to gain insights faster and be able to move faster and get a competitive advantage. An example of this is this company called Kadri.com. From their website, they say, tell us that they have several models, one of which is this growth model, which has 40,000 variables in it. And it looks at 3 million data points, including the things I mentioned, such as population growth and price trends and so on. But they also use other information like new growth permits, new construction permits, what are the occupancy rates, when have things happened. The one example that I recollect is that they mentioned that if you start seeing coffee stores and other small retail establishments start setting up in an area, they know that that area is gaining traction and that maybe they should consider buying over there. They need data scientists to support this kind of an underlying technology that they use to make decisions. So they had recent postings for a data scientist, for example, to deploy and build machine learning models to accelerate this acceleration and asset management process. Those are just two examples. I could go on and on. Here are some other areas where machine learning is being used for analytics and predictions in fraud detection for your credit cards and banking activities, for example. In compliance and audits, where auditors can now look at entire data sets instead of having to just sample certain data sets. And then in accounting. I'm not going to go into all the details over here. I've provided you links in this presentation so that you can click on them and go and look at some of these websites and learn for yourself how these areas are using machine learning and data science. So having pointed out what are the sort of work that you want to do, the question is for you is, what do you need to do to get jobs or to be efficient in these kinds of applications? And the first thing that I would say is that you have to understand the business problem and why it is important to solve this. I cannot stress this enough. There are many instances where people are very, very good at the technical part, but they don't know why they're doing what they're being asked to solve, and they don't know how to explain it. Excuse me. And unless you can communicate that, you will not be successful. So this ability to communicate clearly is another extremely important part of your job. You have to be able to communicate to understand the problem. So don't be afraid to ask questions to get that problem clarified. And then once you have come up with a solution and are making any kind of recommendations, you have to be able to explain how you got there. It's not enough to say that the model told me and I don't know why. So the whole approach, why you chose certain models, what are the assumptions you made, everything is something that you need to be able to communicate. Now we come to the more technical skills. So once you have this problem to solve, you need to be able to get the data that you need to solve it, either use from the traditional relational databases or from these cloud databases and sources that we mentioned. Skills that you need for that kind of work are things like SQL, structured query language, and then increasingly programming languages such as R and Python. You need to have the knowledge of basic mathematical concepts in statistics, distributions, correlation, regression. You need to know linear algebra, matrices and vector algebra, optimization techniques such as gradient descent, genetic optimization, and so on. And then, of course, you need to know the different various machine learning model types, the linear models, models based on Bayesian methods, or trees such as random forest, support vector machines, neural networks, and many other kinds. There has been a lot of work done to develop frameworks that are freely available by companies such as Google and Facebook, and also the open source community. And they have packaged a lot of these techniques into these machine learning frameworks, such as scikit-learn or TensorFlow, PyTorch, and so on, that allow you to build these kind of models with just very few lines of code. You need to know how to use these efficiently so that you can get to your answers faster. And then finally, what we have always seen is that people understand best when they see pictures. So if you can create visualizations to tell your story, that is very, very effective. That will help you a lot. And there are tools that are specifically designed for visualization, such as Streamlit, Viola, Power BI, Tableau, and so on. And so you need to know some of these tools too, to be able to express the results of your model in a visual way, to be able to communicate to other people. As you progress along your college career, you'll start thinking about interviews towards the end of the career in order to get a job. One thing I want to stress is that data science is very much an area where you can and are expected to demonstrate your ability through real applications before you get to your interview. So you should be thinking right now of how you can start developing a portfolio of work. So take part in things like hackathons or coding competitions and develop projects. Take part in competitions such as those offered at Kaggle.com, which are very much focused on data science and machine learning. Post the code of any of the projects that you develop to GitHub, which is a code sharing site, so that other people can look at it, build upon it, and that you have a portfolio to show by the time you go to your interviews. That look, here are some of the things I have done. And take part in internships or volunteer work where you get a chance to apply these techniques, whether they're paid or unpaid. The more important thing right now is to make sure that you start building up this experience and portfolio so that you can demonstrate it when it comes time to appear for an interview. So I think that you are at a really, really great point in your careers. I mean, this is a young field still. It has been around for some time, but it's still just getting started as more and more techniques and data become available. More companies are recognizing the importance of this, and there is a lot of demand right now for this. So I congratulate you on the decision to enter into this field. I hope you take some of these suggestions and implement them. And Anupama, you've been doing a lot of hiring for data scientists and machine learning. Do you have any additional suggestions that would be useful for them?
Sorry, I think you touched upon, and especially on this slide, in terms of how you want to prepare yourself to really start your career in this field, start working in this field. So the basics are just very, very important. You just should be able to have really good hold on Python and R and SQL. Some of those basics and fundamentals are just must. So the way we interview is we will look at the resumes, look at the LinkedIn profiles, look at the GitHubs, and then when we invite for interviews, one of the first things we will do is give a technical test. Even before we do behavioral interviews, we'll do a technical test that tests these skills of SQL or Python, etc. And then you can go from there. I think that initial hurdle, once you pass that, makes it much easier to get into the job market.
Okay, thank you for that, Anupama. So with that, I think we have concluded most of what we had to say. I'm going to open it up to questions or any comments that anybody has. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Any questions? All learners are the session is open for questions now. So anyone can ask question or any comment.
Or you can post them in the chat as well if you want.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, sir. There is a question. What do you prefer for a job? It's after job after bachelor's or job after master's?
Anupama, I think you're best placed to answer that question. Wait a minute, Pamu. I think you're on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, it's a very good question. So you can look at it in two ways. If you are if you do bachelor's and you get a job in the data science field, you can keep learning on the job, and you can be more in the applications side of machine learning. If you want to do research and if you want to really have in-depth knowledge of machine learning and data science, a master's or a PhD may be useful to you. But it also depends on the needs of your personal needs. I think the way these days the curriculums are, you are able to take a job opportunity right out of bachelor's program. That is true, at least in the United States.
Can you recommend any online course?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I think if you have internet, you will be able to learn. So there are some, I'll give you a few examples. One is, Sanjay mentioned you need mathematics and statistics. I'm sure you're studying it with, some of the best in the world, such as Asif yourself. So please take advantage of that. But if you have internet and YouTube, There are excellent videos by StatQuest. You can watch those videos and kind of get knowledge of statistics. Stanford Online has free and absolutely top-notch classes available for anyone. So, and there are many of those Stanford Online YouTube videos, so you can watch those. If you are able to, Coursera has a course by for machine learning specialization by Andrew Ng. You may have heard of Andrew Ng. He's one of the absolute pioneers of a machine learning education, and he's the founder of Coursera and also deep learning AI. So there is a machine learning specialization by Andrew Ng that is excellent, considered gold standard in the industry. So you may want to take that. But to be honest with you, there are so many free resources available on the internet, as well as Kaggle competitions. You should be able to really use all those resources.
Anupama ma'am, there is a question for you. And the question is, why did you choose data science as your career?
Oh, that's a long story, but I'll keep it short in interest of time. I studied computer science and worked at NASA, and then moved into investment management field. For many years, I managed Invesco's money market trading platform. So my life was all about, trading and managing the software that we still use for trading. So it was very intense and fun, but I did it for way too long, and I needed. I was in that job for 15 years and moved around in different areas around trading. What I realized was I needed something really new and fresh, and something that was going to be challenging to me, something that I had no idea about. And so at my firm in 2017, they started an innovation team called Strategy, Innovation, and Planning. And I took a rotation on that. And one of the parts of strategy, innovation, and planning was AI and machine learning. So I'm kind of new to the field. I only started in 2017, and that's how I took data science. It helped me, Asif, because I have a background in physics and mathematics, so it helped me.
Sanjay sir, there is a question for you by Atharva Darekar. The question is, how will a fintech company manage to outshine the crowd of service providers in a particular financial industry, considering they have affordable access to technology?
So that's a great question. And I think it is particularly true in some of these newer areas, because what is different to a large extent about this AI and machine learning area from everything that I have seen earlier in my career is that it is all open and it is all free. And that is incredible if you think about. Even companies like Google have been creating data sets that they release publicly. You can go and access those right now and start using them in training your machine learning models and so on. And so the technology is not necessarily a competitive advantage in the way that it has been earlier, because, as I said, it's all available for free, and it's also all changing so rapidly. So what companies have done, essentially the innovation comes around the business models and by using first mover advantage to create networks. So a lot of the companies that have been founded or on some of the machine learning or AI type of things are often operating at very large scale, and like things like Facebook, for example, the reason that they're successful is because other people are over there. So you create what is called a network effect, where people come to your company because other people are there. It's just like when you go to a market, you like to go to a big market because other people come to the market and there is more product and variety available. And for the seller, there are more buyers available if they go to a big market. So it's in their advantage. So a well-established market kind of sustains itself by just drawing more people. So similarly with the different businesses, a lot of people try to get first mover advantage so that they can get their, create that kind of a network effect. The other area is by looking for niches. Like there are many niches that can open up because the cost of providing some of these services is dropping so rapidly. It is increasingly opening up areas that you would not have been able to consider as profitable areas to serve to these kinds of services. So one example is, for example, just creating stories. I mean, there are websites now that are available that write content for you, that for your blogs, for your product descriptions and things of that sort, which is you would not have maybe thought about going into that kind of a business on your own because it's hard to get that scale and so on. But with a website, it's much cheaper to reach out to different people or for them to find you and then provide that service in an automated way. But it is a great question because I think it is different with the open source and also the blockchain and other kinds of technologies because they're all open source. All the material is available online for free for you to be able to go to and learn. You can pull code samples freely and so on.
What is machine learning?
Anupama, do you want to take that or should I?
I'm sorry.
What is machine learning?
Sure. So machine learning is basically, you have a whole lot of data. You want to extract insights out of the data. Instead of human looking at the data and identifying what the data is telling the story, you can feed that data to a machine and let the machine learn what the data is talking about. You feed the data to the machine and the machine comes out. The machine uses the data to train itself and then comes out with a suggestion, or it comes out with a prediction and tells you what you should do with the data. So the process of creating a model and allowing the machine to get trained and learn with the data and being able to extract insight out of that is the field of machine learning. Very, very simply put.
Yeah, so Anupam ma'am, how do you consider a candidate of a non-programming background if you are looking for a data scientist?
Non-programming background?
Yeah.
So let me just be honest with you. I think if you want to become a data scientist, you need to be able to do programming. If you don't want to become data scientist, you want to become, for example, a product owner within AI and machine learning field, you don't need to do programming, but you still need to learn or understand the concepts of what it means to build a machine learning model. What are the advantages and disadvantages, how the model fits into your product. And in that case, you need to know more about the industry that you're working in or the business that you're working for, have the business knowledge, and help the data scientists on your team to build that model or build that solution. So yeah.
So Anupama, can you explain a little bit what a product manager is? I think that might not be something that is well known.
Yeah, sure. So let's take an example of products. I think, you know, I don't know, a tool that will give you a summarized text. So for example, there's a website and you create a tool where you log into the website and copy and paste some large news article in there. And then you say, click, summarize this article. And instead of 4,000 lines, you get one small paragraph that tells you what the article is talking about. So that website that creates text summarization is your product. That's the product. And the person who tries to kind of, you know, there's a gap between the software developers and data scientists versus a user who's going to use your website. The product owner or the product manager is someone who sits between that gap. The product manager or the owner will say, okay, this is how the website should look like. This is what the users want. We want to only do summarization on articles that are 2,000 words or more. It's someone who gives you what the product needs based on user needs and communicates that to the software team or the data science team and gets that, helps them build that product, if that makes sense.
There are other routine questions that I will answer that in my class. So Sanjay sir already gave a list of softwares or techniques. Those are important. So there were a question related to that. So it is already there in your presentation. I will share the file of the presentation with the students. Is there any suggestion for becoming a, what was that question? There is a question on YouTube also. Is it difficult to become an analytics manager?
Is it difficult to become an analytics manager?
Nothing is difficult. I tell you. I heard your man speak in the beginning. So eloquent. Your school has such amazing history. You have professors like Asif, world-class mathematicians, bar none. If you put your mind and effort into it, if you believe in yourself, and if you just keep at it, it's not difficult. I as a technologist, as a woman, and as a minority, I feel I was able to move from trading to data science, and I'm able, within 5 years, I'm able to manage a whole bunch of data scientists without background in data science. You can do it. You put your mind to it and you work hard and you learn how to communicate, you will be able to do it. So no, I would say it's challenging, but not impossible at all.
And I would just like to add to that, particularly the last part that Anupama said, learn how to communicate. I think some of the most important skills that you're going to need in your career in general, but particularly if you want to get into management and those areas, is this ability I talked about earlier of communication to other peers and also of understanding why you need to do whatever that you're planning to do. And you have to be able to convey that kind of a value proposition and to other people so that they have confidence in you to give you responsible positions like an analytics manager or any other kind of management. It's really, really important to be able to communicate and to understand why.
Thank you. Is there any other question on YouTube?
No, sir.
I'm
Yes, sir.
seeing one more question, Asif, about actuarial science. So Avishkar has asked about this, that does the course in business analytics help with actuarial science? And I am not 100% familiar with actuarial science, but typically that is something that is used by insurance. And if you think about insurance, it's all about managing risk. Okay, because what do insurance companies do? They essentially say that you're likely to have an accident. There is 1 in 100 chance that you can have an accident, a heart attack, a fire event, flood, whatever. But then they go to 100 people or maybe 101 people and say, look, you pay us so much for every year. And in case something happens to you, we will cover your damages or we will make a payment to you. So that requires you to assess what the risk of something happening is, and also what are the consequences of a particular event. So that you know how much to ask for in payment. So this is an area that is completely amenable to data science and analytics, because you are taking factors that historical factors to make judgments on future events, but you're also able to now bring in factors that you may not have been able to bring in before, like actual current weather events or developments like that, to make decisions with your models. How can ESG and data science be synergized in India? For ESG and data, that's a very new field. I think things are still evolving over there. So just one minute. I was hearing an echo over there. In terms of data science, I think what we have, some of the types of things that people are reporting is, just keeping track of what is happening in areas through things like satellite images. So this is not directly related to ESG, for example, but with the war in Ukraine, there have been a number of reports about how the different sides are progressing, like where Ukraine is hitting the Russians or vice versa, but particularly where Ukraine is hitting Russians, because news from that side is not easily available. And this is being done through satellite images, analyzing those satellite images and translating that into what actually happened and predictions. Similarly, for ESG, there is satellite imagery that is used for tracking whether forests are being burned, how much of it has been burned, how much emissions have occurred as a result of that, and the other way around. Like if you are able to increase forest areas, you are able to make those kinds of estimates. But this is not an area that I'm particularly familiar with. I have seen some of these kinds of examples, but I'm sure that as you try to tap into some of these non-traditional data sources that need to be integrated, there will be opportunities to do this. I've seen this same thing happen on or read about the same kind of thing happening on flood mapping, that again, using satellite images, you are able to update these areas and so on. Okay.
Yeah, we are almost done. There was a question. you mentioned that question during the talk, but maybe Anupam madam can answer this question. Skills required for non-tech project manager.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Asif, can you speak up, please?
Yeah, skills required for non-tech project manager, non-technical project manager.
Skills required for non-technical project managers. I think obviously number one, I would say ability to communicate. Number two, I would say knowledge of the industry that you're working in. And number three is obviously one of the main things you need for a project manager is being able to organize, plan, and motivate other people. Because if you're a project manager, you're not really doing actual tasks, but you're influencing the team to get things done. So being able to organize and being able to motivate others is a key skill set for a project manager.
So whatever questions was asked to me personally was already been discussed, and I think Sanjay sir also discussed whatever was asked directly to him. And now there are no unanswered questions on YouTube.
Sir, there is one more question. Can data science and analysis help humanity to make the concept of global village a reality?
Can you?
Yeah, wait. I'll read it. Can data science and analysis help humanity to make the concept of global village a reality?
Yeah, I mean, there are numerous examples of that. You know, a flood in Pakistan can be, or a typhoon in Japan can be possibly predicted with help of machine learning, and warnings may be available for people to act upon. There are ways where a person who's able to create something in a product in a village in Maharashtra is going to be able to compete with big, huge companies like Amazon, because there are ways in which data science and machine learning can help bring a whole number of small sellers together. There are numerous ways where someone who's completely outside of your area of interest or your neighborhood or your community can impact someone else in the globe. Other examples probably don't come to my mind right now, but I'm sure there are many.
You gave the clear idea. Thank you. So now there is no question, but Podar students are also active in giving feedback also. So I have also received a feedback. So I'll read the comment. Thank you, sir, for the session. I asked Sanjay sir the ESG related question and got a really good perspective on the topic. Thank you very much. So with this, I also just to tell you, during our discussion, I told you that Podar college is having these two courses. One is MCOM in business analytics, and other is BSc in data science. We also are having few more courses along with these two. We have MCOM in behavioral finance also, and we have MCOM in industrial business also. And for undergraduate, along with BSc in data science, we have BBA in shipping and logistic management and BCom in financial markets. There are EY BCom students right now who are my CS students, and for them, they can look for other than MCom in business, business management and accountancy. They can also look for this other MCom which are newly commencing courses at Podar. Yeah. So everyone is thanking you. Uh, Shobna madam is online. Ma'am, do you have any comment or suggestion? Any? Shobna ma'am?
I am there, Asif.
Yeah, ma'am. Do you have any
I'm
comment?
enjoying the conversation. It was Sanjay sir and Anupama madam. It is so nice. I was enjoying the whole thing. I don't know. My learning has taken place to a large extent this evening. Sanjay sir, I was so stunned about the way you were giving the various opportunities, and Anupama madam, each and every career path that you are able to distill it and make it so evident in front of these young minds. I think I have no words to thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. Maybe I will look forward to have you more on this particular intellectual exchange program, which I would like to continue it, Asif. I think, Asif, we should have more of it, if I am
Yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken. Do you
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
with me?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Amazing kind of lucid. Your slides were so beautiful, madam. I was enjoying and also getting inputs from you. It's my pleasure, or rather our pleasure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you and all your students, ma'am. And we really appreciate it. Asif, thank you for the opportunity.
Like you have taken out your time early in the morning. That speaks how close these things are to your heart. And we value a lot your time and efforts, madam and sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So
Thank you.
before I announce my vote of thanks, I also have a question. That question is actually a worry from this students.
Asif, 1 minute. Asif,
Yeah, ma'am.
1 minute.
Yeah,
Can
ma'am.
I leave because I have got
Yeah,
a
yeah,
meeting to attend?
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. I will sign off. Thank you very much. You carry on.
So the worry which has been the students have been they are expressing with me is most of them are commerce students, and they are little worried that we are not that trained mathematics or in statistics or even in programming also. So what suggestion you will give? How means Anupama madam, actually you already said that there is no difficult, but still the kids have been asking me the same question. What will be your comment?
Yeah. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So first of all, I really think don't worry that you don't know programming. I'll just give you my own example. I studied physics when I was in India in Pune, and I came to the US where I had seen computer from far away at Pune University. I had not touched it, and I started a graduate school master's in computer science with other students who had already completed bachelor's in computer science. It took me a while, and it was very hard, and I was not the best student, but I survived. And from where I was to where I am, I can confidently tell you that being a commerce student, not a problem. You can pick up a book, get on the internet, watch YouTube videos, start practicing your Python from beginning. Take very beginner level courses. Practice. If you practice and if you work at it, it's not hard. And honestly speaking, in terms of data science and machine learning, there are not a whole lot of people like Asif in the world where they can actually come up with a model on their own. Sanjay was talking about how a lot of the machine learning models are out of the box and they're made available to anyone who's doing machine learning. So you don't need extremely high level of mathematics knowledge or you don't need a master's in mathematics or a PhD in mathematics to be able to use the models that are already built and available for anyone in the world. So don't think of yourself as Oh, I'm from commerce. I don't know a whole lot of math. I don't know programming. What I won't be able to do it. You will be able to do it because you can start small and you can start practicing now. By the time you're ready and ready to graduate, you'll be fantastic. So keep at it.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, sure.
There are roles that don't require you to program. You know, like the product manager role that Anupama described was one of them. I think, in my experience, one of the key aspects that is often lacking on people who are very technically competent is the understanding the concept, understanding the business need of why it is that you want to do whatever it is you're doing. We have a colleague who is working in the data science or in the tool set, but the reason he's there is because his background is in biomedical engineering, not because he's a data scientist, because the problems that they're trying to solve are related to the different research labs that are conducting research, and he has done that. So in many cases, having that business experience and then being able to talk to people who are in technology to say, okay, this is how I want the problem solved, understanding what is capable from some of the tools and techniques out there is often a big gap that you can fill if you have that business experience and the ability to communicate across technology and the business platforms.
Great. So we'll move on to vote of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank Sanjay sir and Anupam ma'am for taking efforts, for accepting the invitation and then taking so much effort. I know it's last couple of weeks you have been working on that. You spent some time for this presentation and you gave your morning to us. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your efforts. Thank you, Sanjay sir, and thank you, ma'am. We also would like to thank our principal, Dr. Shobna Vasudevan, for allowing us for this session, and it is her leadership that being a commerce college, we are now running a course which is recognized as a science course. So thank you, Shobna ma'am. And I also would like to thank all the students. They are here, that's why we are here. So thank you, all the students. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to share our learnings, and good luck to everybody.